Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm back, in case anyone has actually noticed that I haven't been here, and Katrina Kibben has been doing an awesome job covering for me. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm a social recruiting trainer and speaker. I'm, of course, joined by the ever-fabulous Audra Knight, employer branding genius, my wonderful co-host, who you have been introducing the show for the last few weeks. Thank you so much. Today has someone who's come out of the comments channel onto the main stage. Debbie Eastway, welcome. Chief H2B, which you're going to explain, matchmaker at Matchmake Consulting. And of course, we're talking us and them, so I'm quite excited. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Yes, us against them. This will be fun.
Bring it on.
This will be fun.
Yeah, but before we start, I'd love to hear how you got to the dark side.
She never started on the light side.
I know. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know I was on the dark side.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I graduated from college with a degree in philosophy of interdisciplinary studies. So now what? You know.
What does that mean in like layman's terms?
Yeah.
You know, my degree was, and ironically enough, my background, my educational background, little did I know, perfectly prepared me for what I do today. It was all anthropological studies, psychology, creative writing, performance and play. American studies, African American studies, women's studies. I mean, it was everything that interested me. And it rolled into a tidy little degree. So I got that. And then I realized there's no market for this.
I did the same thing. I have a psychology degree. And then I was like, I really want to be a psychologist. What am I going to do?
Sit around listening to people.
You probably use it in your day job, no? You're
That's what
probably
you're saying,
using
Debbie.
it in a way. You're just not maybe thinking it consciously, but you're still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Maybe we should hire people and fix them. Imagine how productive work would be.
I think I actually do a little bit, David.
Well, there's some counseling involved in what you're doing, for sure.
Absolutely. But I wandered around aimlessly for a while, and then decided I needed a real job and ended up in an agency. I didn't even know what recruiting was.
All right, so another
like
one
applying
fell
for
into
it? Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed as a career. You know, I had no idea. So I thought, oh, well, I need insurance and a legit day job. So I went in and I loved it.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone always tells me, well, why don't you go get a real recruiting job? Why don't you go be a corporate recruiter, like a real recruiter?
Yeah. Wow.
Me.
What parts of it did you love? I want to know what you loved. Was it the chase or what did you love?
Oh, I'm a hunter. Yeah, I'm a hunter. But I also, the reason I'm in agency is because I have issues with commitment. I don't want to stay in one company doing recruiting for one type of role, learning about one type of business. I hate that. I get very bored. And so I love a new client that just like launches me into a completely different industry. I mean, I've worked in government. I've worked in manufacturing. I've worked in, I stumbled across a really cool company that does sustainable waste management. And I was like, yes, cool. I want to be involved. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
then why do they hire you if you don't know anything about this?
Right.
Because you're just awesome?
Because you know what? They couldn't find what they were looking for. And I said, let me try, because you know what? You can't lose. If I don't find this person, you don't pay a dime.
Yeah. So how did you start? Like, how did you learn about that?
Yeah.
You know what? Ironically enough, I don't know what it is about. I don't know what it is. I'm a smartass on LinkedIn. And so some people get entertained by that. And so we start to talk, you know, quick back and forth. All of a sudden, hey, you know what, actually, let's do this, because I actually do need, you know, this position filled, and and every single opportunity has really been that, you know, just like when people are literally at their wits' end, they're like, well, what the hell, I'll give it to her and see if she can fill it. And then I do.
Yeah, because you go and hunt people out.
Man, this works.
Like a
and
so do you,
I love it.
So if you're going to hunt people out, I take it you're using the phone. I'm sensing you're doing a bit of old school head hunting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
You just call them up.
you know what? I don't call them up in the where they work. People hate that, you know.
Yeah.
It's rubbed too many people the wrong way. But I go after them. I mean, I get the position, I research the company, I figure out, all right, you know, what's the right personality I'm looking for. And I also work with clients who let me know who they are. You know,
and if they don't, do you just not take the gig if they're
you know what, you have to really think about how to maximize your time. And I don't want the business. I don't want the big corporate, get me on your vendor list business. I don't want that.
No. You're doing like the exec level.
That's
so the whole H2B.
And not even exec level.
Oh, okay.
But I mean anything. But it is about, let me know who you are as a company. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to go out and find a skill set that does not match with your team, your hiring manager, your corporate identity. You know, I am not going to put a really great person that can do this job who is extremely left-sided, who's going to go into a traditional corporate environment where he or she will not only not fit in, but not be groomed for advancement, be overlooked for everything, always feel like people are, you know, nobody wants to live like that, you know. So I say,
us anyway.
Yeah.
You're talking to three people who'd be like, no way we're going to do that. We all work from home to avoid all that bollocks.
Well,
so tell me about the H2B, because I feel quite proud of that. So you are, because you're just
responsible.
I know. Sorry about that. If it fails.
Responsible for my brand.
Yeah.
Well, all along, I was telling Katrina about the I to B. It was originally I to B, individual to business.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've got this business to business, corporate, you know, all of these.
Blah, blah, blah.
And I was like, this is a business where you're matching an individual to a business. And my mindset was really about capturing the fact that this is an individual. Yeah. This isn't, well, I'm a Java developer, you know, and I try to tell people all the time, think about the two best looking people that you know. The two really best looking people you know. They're just both gorgeous.
I better pick someone out of the comments there.
And so now those people, would you match them up together?
No, because they were both women.
Well, but they could. They could match.
You never know.
Well, you didn't say right. Well, yeah, no. In this particular case, no, because they're both not. Yeah.
But see what I'm saying? You can't make a quality match based on one set of criteria, which is here's my job description, here's your resume. Check and check. So this is the employee for us. You know, and most cases you've checked one box. You know, but then there's also, do they want career advancement? Do they want a family? Do they want, you know, it's all of these other things that really make it a quality match. Because what I don't think is a value is me putting someone in who you now have to babysit, invest your time in, train, coddle for 90 days until you find out
they're not the right human. Yeah.
Right. Wrong human.
Yeah.
And then, so the whole concept was about creating an agency that actually gives a crap about where the person is placed and whether or not they're happy once they get there.
That seems like a nice little segue into today's show topic, because you just said gives a crap. So we, of course, here in the UK, I was mentioning so I keep calling it Hay Associates, Haigh, and other people are calling it Haig Associates, but whatever. Their little video. Which
I gotta see this.
Which is just so bad.
I know.
I'm sure
Is it still up?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's around. I will find it for you later. But basically, it's these. We call them cowboys here. Wide boy. Yeah, exactly right, Mark. Oh my god, that video. It's wide boys. No, not hipsters. Cowboys, like not like cowboys and things. Cowboys like
preppy.
Just, you know, I don't know what, oh, Mark, give me a definition for white boys. But that really money hungry, you know, rah, rah, rah. They were all guys, they were yeah, I'm not going to say that.
Like
what Mark just wrote.
Like a frat boy mentality.
They walked in with their swagger.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and there's like two women, and one is basically gets her, you know, an arm around her, and the other one's in the back in the support role, and then the five lads, you know, they go and get on their private jet, and it's just ridiculous, right? And unfortunately, this is what a lot of people over here think recruitment agents are, which of course is not true, but they all get tarred that way. And so, of course, this is this whole us and them. And just this week, of course, perfect show topic.
Did they mean for it to be serious, or was it like a joke?
Apparently, yes. That was the horror.
So they were saying, like, this is who we are, hire us?
No, this is our culture, come and join us. But basically, I couldn't because I'm female and too old, judging by that video.
Oh, right, because we wouldn't look right at the...
well, it sounds like they don't want to hire you. So the video worked.
Yeah, they don't want to hire me.
But case in point.
Yeah.
I don't want to work for a company where that's where you hold your core principles.
Yeah. But unfortunately, when you think about like this us and them thing, right? This is what it comes back to. This, like pretty well what Matt Gallivan just wrote on the side here. I had someone describe it by saying the plane would smell of jupe or youp. I don't know how you pronounce it, JWP. And then Trish has written a good point. People are paying their fees, which is horrific. But anyway, they're watching their fees.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Was all I could think of. If you work for that company, if you're one of the people working for that company, I'm thinking to myself, well, there goes my margin. You know, you splitting off in your jet with your entourage of ladies. Who's paying for that? Me.
Yeah.
With my billable.
There were no ladies on the plane, by the way. It was worse. It was just 5 boys getting on the plane.
I'm sure the ladies were waiting in the plane.
Yeah. They were there.
But it really is right. Oh, hi, here's us spending your fees.
I mean, that's it. And I always say the main problem with agency is this whole high heels and bagels culture where, you know, the big boys, they go to universities and they go and they identify the pretty ladies and they put a recruiter title on them and send them off.
No way.
Oh, wow. And I know they do that because those are the people coming to me.
Where do the bagels come in?
Oh, because, you know, they go meet the hiring managers with their high heels and their bagels and generate business.
Not here.
And then I'm like, this is the problem. This is why we have no street cred, everybody. Between this and the fact that
here. That's quite funny. No, I've got to, hopefully some of the agency people in the comments will just back up what I just wrote. No, we don't do that. It's always boys. It tends to be boys. That's quite funny.
A lot of them are. But you know what? A lot of the hiring managers in tech, I work in tech. You know, I primarily work in the tech space. And I mean, what is the percentage of hiring managers that are male in tech?
Do you think that gives you an advantage being a pretty lady? Is it to yourself?
No, because I'm officially too old. I'm actually outside of the.
I think you're a bit of a cool.
I'm actually outside of the box.
No, I think
I don't qualify. And quite frankly, when I started in the business, I was like 60 pounds heavier, and it didn't affect my game. You know.
Good for you.
Because I want to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I feel like my value is that I actually know what your needs are and what your goals are, and I listen. That's value. So, me coming in to make you feel like a man for 5 minutes is not value.
Yeah.
It's a bad.
So what do we do about this us and them then, if we've got this situation?
But wait, we've only talked about the negative side of the headhunters. But what about there's a negative side, like people see in-house recruiters as sometimes as lazy, as not working hard. There's negative, people say negative things on both sides.
Sure.
Do you think that's true? Do you think they're lazier? Do you think they kind of just sit around for applications to come in and screen them? And
I don't think so. I don't think they do. In fact, if I were in-house, my priority would be, you know what? I'll take all the low-hanging fruit. Kill the cycle time early, because the problem with it is that somebody is coming in at the corporate level and saying, why have you spent so much on agency fees this year? Why aren't you good at your job? Why didn't you find that candidate? We're paying you this salary. Why? And so what they're doing at the corporate level is they're creating this animosity between me as a partner who's really here to help you.
Yeah.
And the talent acquisition reps who now have to answer for my involvement.
But then they need to push back and say, you've got me working on 30 or 40 roles, which they do a lot of the time. And that's great if they're all just one role, but they're not. And push back and say, how do you expect me to be able to do everything you're asking? And actually sit down and work out the time frame required.
Well, and that's why I say, look, if you go in and you work everything that you know you can fill, I've got I've got a pipeline, a solid pipeline in the ATS, or what, this isn't particularly specialized anyway, we can fill this in-house. You let the agencies work for it. Give them the positions that are a struggle, and you let them work for it. But you also have to, I think, create some sort of embedded presence. And I think the problem is that people are really operating with agencies on one of two levels, either in like an RPO structure, where they still view it as agency, or basically working with them on an ad hoc basis, where they're working through a vendor management office. You toss a rec out, all the agencies stumble all over each other and punch each other and try to do this. It doesn't work. And in both scenarios, there's no candidate engagement.
Well, the candidates hate it, don't they? If they're getting approached about the same role by multiple, there's enough noise out there without 5 agencies approaching them about the same role, because the company's gone to so many agencies. It's ridiculous.
And now the candidate doesn't know who to trust. And the other thing is now what we're all doing, since we're clamoring to get the same candidates from the same pools, let's admit it, we're all sourcing from the same places. It's just who does it better and who does it cheaper.
Yeah.
So,
agencies had their own pool, and now they probably some do, but it's also people are more visible.
4 billion people on the internet. 4 billion on the internet. There's 7 billion of us on the planet.
And that's it.
Alex Brock has written a great point here. Hello, Alex. The challenge is a lot of recruiting organizations don't know how best to procure and engage recruitment agencies properly, and the contingent fee model, which we've just said, of recruitment and using multiple agencies just doesn't promote best practice. Absolutely right.
No.
You're right, Mark. Boom. It doesn't.
Yep.
And it's funny because it's bizarre that that's still going on. You think by now they'd have worked that out.
Well, and what I see, with where I'm headed, and look, I'm not here to disrupt the industry. I'm responsible.
Where's the fun in that? Maybe disrupt. Come on.
Look, I'll just go after my own little community. I'm not trying to make a global impact.
Damn, we need to sort that out.
Well, give me a little time.
Can we start with the vases behind you? I've got complete vase envy. You can start disrupting my sitting room with some of those. Bring it on.
Do you want to know what? Every one of them is from the 50s and 60s.
Wow.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Sorry, I completely distracted you then, because I feel like...
No, obviously I'm a little obsessed with them too. But I feel like the bigger value would be where you diversify your specialization. And you bring agencies in, and instead of saying, okay, we'll bring in all of these agencies and then they can clamor, it's going to bring the rates down. We'll have them all, the competition will drive the rates down. But the problem is now you've got the people who win. The people who win are only the agency who comes up with the cheapest resource. I mean, it's really it.
Yeah.
Because everybody internally, your purpose, your identity, your organizational value is driving down our resource overhead.
Yeah.
But I feel like agencies can come in if you vet them based on specialization. So you bring in 5 agencies and you let them work embedded. You let them talk to your marketing team. What's your voice? You know, when I'm out there representing you, what's the tone? Do you have templates? Let me look at some of your corporate communication and see what you guys feel like. And what do you stand for? So that when I'm vetting candidates and when I'm talking to them, if I know that I've got an extremely conservative Christian here and you guys are serving up alcohol in the middle of an afternoon party.
Audra and I are in. We're in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in too, but some people are out.
Sure vases have got gin in them, so he's in.
I wish. No way. I'd never put anything in them.
So, interesting. Trista's written here. You know, without offending anybody in the industry, but I blame the people in leadership and TA. Actually, I blame the people above the people, but also them in TA, especially in-house. They have little understanding of how to hire a good recruiter, train a recruiter, motivate recruiters, and that's because people are hiring nice suits and good talkers, not the people who know how to do it at the top. Yeah, and I think that's really true. There's not enough investment in that space.
Well, and quite frankly, you know, think about your own organizations. What does training look like where you live? You hire somebody and they've got 10 years of experience as a recruiter. So you give them their access, you give them their laptop, you give them, here's Monster, here's Indeed, here's your login, and you send them on their way. In most cases, that's your training.
Yeah.
You know, here, make sure that you set up your the proper signature on your email, and here's your voicemail, and there's no training.
Yeah.
You know, I worked in an RPO.
Reminded me of the days when you used to get a phone in the yellow pages, but that's really showing my age. Or just like, what's your handwritten list?
Please.
Do you know what? We just had one delivered and they could actually put it through the letterbox. And I was like, and all I did was take it and put it straight in the recycling bin. I was like, why did you even bother giving it? They actually got so small they could get it through the letterbox. I was really impressed.
Wow. That's because no one's there. No one lives in paper anymore.
No, but you're right. It's absolutely right. So Alex Brock, again, another issue is lack of recruitment forecasting and planning client side. The better visibility you have in-house of your recruitment demands means you can plan better and decide which roles should go to agencies if required. That was not my dog.
That was my dog.
This should allow you to go down the retained model and work really well with an agency. So true.
And here's the thing: if your internal staff embraces them as a partner, because I will tell you that I have personally seen my own candidates impacted purely because I was involved in the process. Yeah. You know, where they weren't prepped like the internal candidates were prepped. Interview. Yeah. Their interview itinerary gave first names only. However, the other itinerary had first names, last names, LinkedIn profile, title. You've got to give each candidate, because look, if my candidate gets this job, you've already distanced yourself from them as an organization by not giving them a fair onboarding experience.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, and that's it.
Crazy.
How much do you prep them, though? Don't you want them to take the initiative to also do some research themselves?
No!
Or if you prep them too much.
You want them to get too
much. They could get hired, but they're not the right person because you've just coached them.
Yeah.
Look, I'm pretty good. But if I said, you're interviewing with Audra.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, now, prepping them like, this is what the person likes. This is what they like. This is what they want to hear. Like, do you go that deep?
I do. I mean, I've helped people figure out what to wear on their first day. I mean, I'm full cycle, full life.
Okay. On that, you can help. I have such a question on that, right? So
yeah, tell me.
Because the world's got a little bit more casual, right? I imagine we're all sitting here in jeans or along those lines, right?
Yeah.
I actually don't have anything on my feet. I'm that bad. But anyway, it's like, what do you get them to wear to interview if the place is dressed down? I think it's still. Do they still have
depends on it depends on the client. I actually have one client who will not consider someone who suits up.
Yeah, good point.
Good to know.
I know you can ask the client.
Good to know, but I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
By sending in a candidate old school, suited up.
Yeah. Because it's not that long that it's changed. It's really like the last 5 or 6 years. And it is really awkward because you're like, what do you do? Yeah.
Well, and I think that it just depends. You know, you have to prep the candidate. Look, here's the thing. I can prep you. I can give you all of the tools that you need to succeed in this interview. But over the next hour of you sitting with this team, you're going to come out.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's
Hopefully.
inevitable. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
But I do make sure that my candidates have every single advantage they can to get to the table.
Yeah.
You cannot get the job if I can't get you
there, physically getting there. Because I think if you've been to that office, you're thinking like, okay, so my candidate, so like say here in Bank Station, which I think has 7 exits. So you're like, go out exit 3, walk straight ahead. And actually the numbers are really strange on this road because it's London. So it's here and it looks like it. Whereas another candidate coming, still external, but from an in-house recruiter, sometimes they get none of that. And they can't find their place and they get really stressed, or perhaps they're disabled and they can't get there.
And now they're 5 minutes late. Yeah. Or they show up to their interview sweaty. Yeah, it's all of that. And so it is why I prep people, because it is it's a really anxiety inducing position to be in, interviewing. You know, if I can take some of the guesswork out of the process for people, I do. You know, but the other thing is when I'm vetting people and I say, look, this is going to be a great job. This position will absolutely launch you into the next stage of your professional career. But this person that you'll be working for is mean. Really, really mean. Rude.
That's good to know.
Will cut you off mid-sentence. Hates if you do this, will scream at you.
Can I just
Some people might not mind that.
Can I just say,
some people don't care. Some people say yes. What's the rate?
So I've had that. I kid you not. So I very nearly didn't get a second interview at Spring Technology because I said, "Oh, what a wank" in my first interview, and
that's a bit naughty.
Yeah, but we got to that really casual part at the end of the interview, and I was just in a false sense of security. So anyway, for that, I nearly didn't get a second interview, which is hilarious. And they were like, "Oh my goodness, it's Mel Agostini. She's so scary, rah, rah, rah." Oh, no. She and I chatted like old girlfriends. And like, it was the stuff we talked about that had nothing to do with an interview. Oh my God, no one could believe I had an interview like that. I was just like,
but it's because there was chemistry.
Yeah, I guess so. But everyone was telling me, she's terrifying. She's going to rip you to shreds. Nah, it was so funny.
For you.
You know what?
Funny.
Likewise, though, other side of it, I had to warn a hiring manager.
Whoa.
That the candidate is an asshole.
Wow. You were like, this is still the right person, though, even though they're an ass.
Oh, yeah.
Was the asshole hired?
He was one of two. He was.
Oh, my God, hire an asshole.
They made him an offer. Of course, he declined it. You know?
Classic. Classic.
But yeah, I had to say, look, you need this skill set. It was a really, really niche specific technical role that I found. I identified exactly 2 people in the United States that could.
Wow.
One of them said, I'm gainfully employed and I couldn't touch him on rate. And the other one was a total jerk.
Yeah.
But would work. The rate worked, the skill set's there. And so I had to call the hiring manager and I said, look, I've got one for you, but this guy, I mean, he makes me want to punch stuff. You know, he's really a jerk. And he goes, it's only a 3-month contract.
Is that honesty though? Isn't that the thing that makes you such a great partner to be it the internal TO or to the hiring manager?
Right. Yeah, they trust me because they know I'm going to tell them the truth. Just like if a candidate says, hey, I'm interested. And then we start talking money and I start asking about like, where are you at right now? And then I say to this, stay where you are. I can't touch you. I can't make your life better in any way with this job. You know, but then that person calls me later when they're looking or sends me a phone.
Because you're good at their relationship.
Yeah, trust. because no one wants to deal with someone who they feel is slimy.
Mm.
And that's why most people hate agencies.
We just come full circle.
Stop being so shady, everybody. But it's
no more videos by Hey Associates.
Yeah, I've heard people in agencies say, launch them.
Yeah.
Launch them. We'll get someone else in there. Launch them.
Mm. Okay, I'm just going to call Tris out on this. Sorry, because I disagree, but then maybe this just goes back to my value set. So, okay, that's what agencies can do that in-house can't. In-house is shit at nurture.
Right.
When I did my in-house role, which of course nobody can see on my LinkedIn profile because long story, it's the first 18 months of my the searchologist. I was really honest. I would say stuff like, no, we can't afford you, or no, you'll get bored here, or stuff like that, because it wasn't worth wasting the interview time. And I did, because I'd been ex-agency, I'd still get so excited by them coming in for interview that I would be like, oh, come on, this is all the info you need. I get so excited. So I'm just throwing that at you, Tris.
But yeah,
Audrey, you can read that one out.
That's long. But I want to say one thing. When I first got into the recruitment, I don't know, maybe not 10 years, but whenever I got in from a whole different field, and I told my dad, and I was like, I'm going to go into recruitment. He goes, oh no, you're going to be a headhunter.
Right.
And he was like, no, he was devastated. It was like his whole life. And
I'm ashamed. I always say we're the used car salesman of corporate.
That's what he thinks. But why does he think that? It's just too many people have just ruined.
Because you know what? Most people who have worked with a recruiter that I know either have some sort of horrible horror story about how they were promised one thing, delivered another, or, I mean, look, I know people who have been screwed over by agencies. I know people who have been unpaid for work they've delivered by agencies. And people who have a nightmare are very noisy.
Yeah.
People who feel they've been wronged tell everybody they know.
Yeah.
You know?
So,
but
you both know I'm writing a book, so I'm doing a lot of research at the moment. So if you type into Google, recruiters are looking for, which is really quite reassuring, the worst, annoying, evil, a waste of time, lazy, and there's also scumbag.
Scumbag.
I was told that I couldn't use scumbag, so I went to the thesaurus to see what other words there were, and there's so much worse than scumbag. And I was like, damn it. I'm really, but I think there's one that's like, they're a rotter, and that's just so British. Recruiters are rotters. Which is quite funny.
Sounds kind of nice.
But they will not let me put that. And I'm like, I want to shock the reader into going, my God, our reputation is that bad. Both sides.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, when I realized, like, oh my God, I guess this is what I am. I guess this is what I'm going to be when I grow up. I guess I want to be good at this. Like, I want to be better at this. And I don't want to be something that everyone thinks is so loathsome. You know, I want to clean up that relationship. Like, I'm not sketchy. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, people that work with me are happy, and they're happy where they are. But nobody tells everybody how happy they are. Everybody talks about how wronged I've been, or, you know, how these people really did me over. And that's what you see. And, you know, I read it on LinkedIn. I see it every day where, you know, people make fun of recruiters and have all sorts of crap to say about them. But how many people have just landed their dream job because of a recruiter? No one's talking about that.
There's no hashtag for that. There's a hashtag for, is a recruiter fail?
Yeah.
Right. Like, how many times have you seen someone say, hey, I just started my blah, blah, blah job at this company thanks to this recruiter at this company. I don't ever see that.
It's funny. So, I mean, I've been out of the actual recruiting for quite some time now. So because I'm further teaching, but I did. So I love how many of my Facebook friends are actually people I placed back in the day. So I think that tells me something about that professionalism as well. But one of them came up to me and goes, "You have no idea how much you getting me that contract at Colt Telecom like 10 years ago changed my entire career. You opened the door for me." And I'm just sitting there going, holy crap. And then he's remembered that. I, of course, haven't, because I've gone, I placed him, on a fee. And thought nothing more of it. And wow. So they do exist. There aren't enough of those stories. Yeah. We need to get them out there because I'm sure everyone in the chat and here has that kind of a story where someone comes up and goes,
right. Oh, I think of people that I placed in a contract role and they're still there. They've now been transitioned. They're hired on directly now, in big wig positions at a company that I placed them at over a decade ago. And I think to myself, like, this is an impactful role. This is a significant job. But the problem is you've got people who really are doing it lazy and people who are doing template-based, which is essentially, you've reduced our profession down to a glorified telemarketer when you do it like that. You make us all seem lazy, uncreative, uninspired, unimaginative, and that's what's wrong with it. If you hire people with some personalities and actually train them and guide them, who said circles? Are we talking about circle jerks in the sidebar? I'm missing it.
Steve Levy has talked about Steve Levy, Uncle Steve, welcome. He's talking about recruiters talk about themselves in Facebook groups. The group Recruiters Who Make Placements is the largest circle jerk in our profession. I asked what that is because I don't actually know.
I'll tell you when you're a little older.
Oh my gosh, am I going to open my my email and be horrified? Don't send me an email. And so I don't know what that means. I'm sorry about the rudeness.
I had to see what I was missing.
This is not a PG show.
What did Lee say? We missed Lee's comment, and Lee always writes great comments. That's Audrey, you have to read that one out. It's a long one. I can't
I have to find it.
It's back up.
How far back is it?
It's not that far. It's quite long. It stands out. We can't miss Lee's comment. He always writes great ones.
Okay, I got it. Part of the problem with preparing candidates is that because people rely on different kinds of tech and various different apps and help make the interview happen, people forget that this human touch approach is prepping both candidate and hiring manager gets overlooked and de-emphasized.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I actually worked in RPO. I don't know why, it seemed like a good idea.
Try the corporate. I'll stick my toe in.
You know what? I had been working for like a decade from home, and I decided I was lonely, and I wanted these work friends that all these other people had. Like, I need work friends. I want to have a work community. And so I went in and I got a desk job, and it was like 3 months.
You're like, get me out of here.
Oh my God. Like the first week I was like, what have I done? But the entire process was just so illogical to me. I had been given a list of clients, and there was a job on the aging report that was 187 days old.
What the? Oh, sorry.
And it was a tech writer. It was a tech writer position. Wow. So it wasn't like it was a niche specific data virtualization engineer or an identity management architect or something that you'd really have to kind of search. A tech writer. Okay.
But could it be that the hiring manager just like kind of paused, or they just decided they weren't sure if they needed it? Or...
So I said, Audra, why? Why is this position open 187 days? And they said, well, they didn't like anybody. I said, well, what don't they like? Well, no one's talked to the hiring manager. I said, why not? And so day one, I picked up the phone and I called the hiring manager. And I said, why is this position so old? Let's talk about this. Yeah. And what happened to, all right, you've seen what you can get at 65K. And I heard all the horror stories about the interviews. She's telling me, look, one of the people you sent me had their bare feet up on my desk while she was talking. I was like, what in the world?
Oh my God, that would be so cool. You went to a job interview and you didn't want it, so you could just like lean back, feet up. I was so going to do that one day.
I couldn't imagine. But I said, okay, so she gave me a checklist of everything that went wrong. No one prepped these candidates. Yeah. No one anything. I said,
Yeah,
okay.
you shouldn't have to prep to say, don't stick your dirty, smelly feet on the table. That's
I didn't think you had to prep people that way.
Right.
I want to do that now. It's now on the bucket list that I have to do that at some point. Maybe at a new client meeting when they're being a dick. I'm just going to stick my feet up and go, nah.
Put your feet and rub it against the position was filled within 2 weeks. Right. After I sat down, I talked to the hiring manager. We bumped the salary up like $5,000. I prepped the candidates that met with her. Okay, I advised them to keep their shoes on and don't rub them on anything.
You're not scared of a difficult conversation. So I'm going to make a random correlation here. So people keep bitching about candidate ghosting, which I find really boring because it's like recruiters have been ghosting candidates for like 20 years. But anyway.
Right.
And then someone went, oh, it's like the NHS because, you know, we've got free healthcare over here and then patients don't turn up. And I'm going, but the doctors are still there. So if you think candidate recruiter,
right.
So the doctor, you've gone to the doctor, you've invested a couple of hours getting tests and the doctor needs to tell you that you're going to die. The doctor will do that. Candidate comes in for interview, fails the interview. The recruiter won't call them and say, oh, I'm so sorry that we chose somebody else for XYZ reasons. And you're just like, please don't make a comparison of patients not turning up. Candidates are now starting to not turn up, particularly in the US, obviously, really low unemployment, right?
Right.
But why are recruiters so scared of these difficult conversations? Why was it so scary to go to that hiring manager?
You know what? I think the problem is in an RPO organization, every function becomes so siloed.
Right.
That there's no relationship developed along the way. Like at this point, if I know that my candidate hasn't shown up for an interview, it's likely because that candidate has called me directly and let me know I'm not showing up today. My car's this, I just accepted an offer, whatever. But the problem is when you silo this and you've got one person, unskilled labor across the board. Okay. And this is why a lot of people unfortunately end up in this field.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to have a specialized degree to end up in recruiting or talent acquisition or HR.
No.
You don't in most cases. They had a script.
Yeah.
So stage one is a script. Does the candidate tick all of these boxes? One, like $10 an hour resources, reads the script and checks the boxes. If that's a check, now you've gone to the next stage. The next stage is you're submitted into the candidate pool. I'm like, that's your qualification?
Oh my God.
And then as a relationship manager, you're supposed to tell the hiring manager what's good about this candidate pool that you've never spoken to.
Whoa. That's scary. That's a bad RPO model. I don't think they're all like that, are they?
Well, I'm hoping not, but I said, well, this doesn't make any damn sense to me and I don't like it. So I'm out. I gave it 3 months because personally I said 3 months, I'm going to get this job.
I don't think all in-house recruitment functions are like that. I think that sounds.
But there's a great lack of candidate engagement when you stagger the functions like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to know the candidate. How many times have you had a really great intake candidate interview where you're like, this person is a stud? I mean, and then throughout the process, you start to see this jerk unfold, you know, and then by the time you're at offer phase, now they're like, well, look, you know what? I know I told you 120, but I should have gone in higher. I'll take the job if it's 140 now, you know, but along the way, you start to get these little red flags, you know, and that's usually, I've pulled people out of process before.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this person is showing some colors where I can tell you one thing. This person will be a future liability to your company, or I'll be backfilling this company or this position in 6 months, or this person's going to bring a terribly toxic cancer to your culture.
See, I just think you're not scared of a difficult conversation. So maybe that's what we should be training. Maybe there are too many pressures.
Maybe all, in-house and both sides.
The hiring manager.
I don't think there is any training on that.
No.
Both sides.
Sue Ingram is your woman, by the way. That's what she does. She trains people in difficult conversations. She can get you to fire someone so well they'll thank you. Sue Ingram.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah.
She changed the way I thought about it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, she's really, really cool. But maybe that's it, because that's all I'm hearing from you all the time is I'll go and find out. I'll say no, I'll pull people out. You're owning the difficult stuff. Yeah. Yet we're in a rejection business. Why is it people are scared of the difficult bit? It's like what we do all the time. Here's 100 CVs, I need one person. So I spend the whole time rejecting.
Because there's such a low barrier to entry that anyone can get in here that's someone that's not good at rejecting people. We're
never going to fix this industry. It's so frustrating.
And you know what? Quite frankly, like if you're interviewing people, to me, if you're interviewing for a recruiter, your interview should be, send me your best pitch. Send me the candidate pitch you're most proud of. Like what lured in a really high quality candidate. Send me that pitch. Let me see how creative you are.
Not because how many years experience you have. Because you could have been doing recruiting for 10 years and stink.
I've already accidentally hired the experienced recruiter. And then after they leave because they can't produce, I go back into their email and I take a look and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what you were sending out all along? But that was my mistake. Those were my early, you can't just trust that someone who's got 10 years of experience is a seasoned, valuable, creative, inspired recruiter. You know, if everybody's doing template-based, this is why people just automatically go into their LinkedIn inbox, delete. Oh, this one looks interesting.
Yeah, the emails stink, though, to be honest. The emails I get from agencies are
oh, have you seen? God help us, though. Have you seen the LinkedIn voicemails? You have to use the LinkedIn app, but you can actually now send someone a voicemail. Now, you think that would be good, but can you imagine how irritating it could get really fast? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great fun to send, obviously, but oh, my God. Before we know it.
Because they're recorded, too. You can share them.
Perfect.
Mind you,
all right,
you could share
because
they'll stay recorded, so you could record it onto your phone and pass it on, couldn't you? Because they stay there.
Oh, my God.
You have to.
So we're going to hear people will be posting those to LinkedIn, like the terrible, embarrassing recruiter call.
Yeah.
So we have that to look forward to.
Trish has a question.
Yay.
Yeah. Right. Trish has a question here. Why the best pitch? Why not tell me how you have had a critical conversation? Why not that?
You know what? I start with the best pitch because you can't get to the conversation if I don't eventually get you to respond.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Drop the mic.
I mean, I absolutely follow up with phone call, everything, but you've got to engage them in some way first.
Oh, no, he means in your interview, when you're interviewing a recruiter.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
As a recruiter, you're not going to establish any sort of relationship at that level unless you've got an initial point of contact. So I want to know, how do you get to people? How do you get to people? Because look, you can find a really, really awesome sourcer that builds you this kick-ass list. But if I can't get you to open that email, if I can't get you to accept my LinkedIn invite, my LinkedIn email, I mean, it's a moot point. It's a moot point.
Yeah.
So I always go in really clever. You know, I've had one of my pitches was a guy who was in his spare time he was like a craft beer brewer. You know, so one of my pitches was, if you get this job, I'll buy you the kegerator of my choice. You know, and then I had like a little image of him next to a picture from him, put Facebook next to a really cool kegerator. And he was like, oh my God. All right. Well,
wow, you stalked him out properly.
You're going to open that email.
Okay. So how did he not come back and say, how dare you look at my Facebook? Because that's what everyone thinks they do. And you've actually used his Facebook photo in an email.
Yeah, it's a little bit stalker-like. I'm not against
I think it's awesome. But people,
I'm a total stalker.
People tell me all the time that people will be offended by that. You've just shown us that they're not.
Yeah, this guy.
Some are.
Oh, right.
I've had one guy who said, you know what? And Katrina, you and I just recently talked about this on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I get all of these wonderful notes from people like, oh my God, that was so creative, or that was such a fun note, or great pitch. But one guy who's like, you're crass and unprofessional. And so that guy I thought about him, and he owned me for like a week. And then I was like, yeah.
You gave him a week?
Yeah. I gave him a week of my energy. And
I'd
I
be
was
like,
ugh.
he doesn't belong in any of my clients. Oh my God, what's
right.
happening? Yeah.
Then
you
I
wouldn't have wanted to work with him.
I had a
You're crass. Oh my goodness.
candidate.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Well, my pitches are kind of funny, a little tongue in cheek. But some of them I'm like, look, I'll buy tickets to your next, like if I see on Facebook that they're a really big, you know, Grateful Dead is the only band I know. So I'll say Grateful Dead fan.
Yeah.
If I saw you were a Deadhead, I'll tell you what, you get this job and I'll buy you tickets to the show in Chicago. They're at least going to open up the email.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They open it up, you know, like get this job and you're going to the blah, blah, blah show, and they at least open it up, you know, but if they don't like it once they're there, that's cool. You know, then stay in your job you're at now.
Okay, Shamila.
You only need one.
So Shamila's just written in the side, my hiring manager used to send, I found your public transport pass on the station. They were all opened. But you're starting with a lie. You're starting with a lie.
If it's really funny, you can get away with it.
You know about the whole stress of checking everywhere, whether you have it or not. Like mine's right there, really randomly. And then like, oh, fuck off. That would really annoy me. Sorry, Shamila. Not saying they liked it. Yeah, right?
But yeah, it's creative and it's different.
Yeah.
You know, it's not Java developer job. San Francisco
requirement.
Apply today.
Opportunity of a lifetime.
Urgent. Who cares if it's urgent? What is that?
Urgent. Yeah.
I did have one of my clients, bless him, he just went, it just never dawned on me not to write that. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet you said that, like really honestly. And I just was like, well, yeah, it's only urgent to you. It's not urgent to them.
Right.
Very, very cute.
But what about some people argue that we need to be more professional with our language? Like, I like how you talk to people, but like I think it was Jamie Leonard who I thought made a really fantastic comment in one of the Facebook groups where he said, you know, I think you started this maybe where someone called themselves a rock star recruiter, and Jamie said, you don't see this other person going on LinkedIn calling themselves a rock star gynecologist. Like maybe we do. That's part of the problem.
But if they did, I would go to that gynecologist.
Yeah,
I would know.
I've got another friend who'd queue up for him or her as well.
Isn't it ironic that I wouldn't, considering I'm into music?
Yeah. You'd be like,
thank you.
You know what? I like people with a personality.
Yeah.
And it's you know what, this is my identity. And you know what, the other cool fun part about being a recruiter in agency is I get to be a little bit of a split personality. It ticks that box. Like when I'm recruiting for a very conservative hedge fund, I'm not writing the same notes.
Yeah.
Good point.
You know, I'm talking dollars and cents to those people. That's what they understand.
Yeah.
You know,
but
if I'm talking,
you will attract the clients that suit you as well. And isn't it that thing that 1/3 of people hate you, 1/3 of people will like, yeah, right, and the 1/3 that love you are the ones you want to work with. And
that's right.
You know, all my clients are insane. It's awesome. I love them all. So it's a match.
I was talking to my web administrator, and I said, I really want to put a Grateful Dead quote on my website.
Why not?
And he said, I said, I want to pay some tribute to Jerry. I want to put a Grateful Dead quote on my website. He was like, okay, well, you might want to be careful about who that, you know, that might turn off some conservative clients. So I said, oh, thank God.
Good point.
Yeah, put it on.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because if that's not, I would rather work with a client that wants to engage me as a person and say, look, you're our partner. You're the voice that we like. Your voice resonates with our culture and our brand. We want you. And that's the reason I'm like, stop pitting all these recruiting agencies against one another to get on your precious list. How about you like representing in this way? I like representing in this way. I prefer very creative companies or companies with a mission. Like one of my clients, like I said before, in waste management, but I'm like, here's the thing I love about that company. They're taking all of the plastics that can't be recycled and they're making them into cinder blocks that can be used for construction.
I was just being told about those. Or you can get the bottles and jam the plastic in.
It's awesome.
It's so cool.
And I'm like, you know what? I want to be part of this company. Yeah. They're on a mission and they're going to do good things for the world. I want to be part of that. And you know what? There's enough agency space for everybody, you know? So let me be your representation because my voice aligns with yours.
Yeah.
And you know what? If this is going to cost me corporate business, that's cool.
Okay, I just have to go over here for one moment because Susanna's written something that might resonate with you. What a long, strange trip it's been. Quote, in my wedding vows.
She's like, hey,
I'm absolutely refusing.
I don't like her anymore.
Steve is written. Right, we have only 5 minutes.
We can still get along, Audra.
5 minutes. This has gone so fast. Next week you'll be I can't even get like over the top of them. Jesus. This has been such an awesome show. Next week we have Claire Bull. She's equally insane as well. So that will be great fun. And we're talking about like employer value proposition and how to actually tell it through stories and stuff. So it'll be another great, fun, creative show. Looking forward to that. So
tell us your new website. I want to hear about it.
I heard it just launched
off the press.
It launched today, this morning, because this was
matchmadeconsulting.com.
Matchmadeconsulting.com. Yeah, and this was my deadline, and we made it by like an hour.
Awesome. And you had to change your job title. Oops, sorry.
Thanks to Katrina, whose ideas are better.
But it's really funny. Every time I go to write, like, oh, she's one of my favorite, like, they're one of my favorite, like, females or whatever. Like, I keep writing human. I'm making myself write it. I just think it's
but it is right.
Them.
And it's a good reminder that after every transaction that you take along the way, there's a human. You know, there's either going to be a really happy candidate or a really miserable candidate or a really elated hiring manager or someone who's going to be calling you back mad in 3 months.
Yeah. All humans.
Humans.
Yeah. Humans. Speaking of humans, Tris is running away because his baby human is not happy. Probably jealous. Not on the show. Right. She definitely is, Audra. Right. That was a beautiful way to end the show as well. So thank you so much for coming out of the chat channel.
Thank you.
The camera. It's not that scary, is it? See, we're perfectly lovely.
Oh, it was fun.
We love a Friday afternoon crazy chat. So thank you all for being so chatty in the side channel as well. We really appreciate it. Some of it a little scary, though. I'm not sure I'm going to go on.
I can't wait to read it.
I know. It's like, I'm not sure if I want to click those links.
Send me the recording.
Most popular shows for people we've had here.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
It's awesome. So thank you, Debbie. And we shall see you all same time next week. So
beautiful.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Happy weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.